Hello everybody, I'm Matt Epstein. I'm here with Lisa Lerner. What's the name of your firm, or is it just Lisa Lerner?
Bennett, Lerner Interiors.
Bennett, Lerner Interiors. Okay, great. Fantastic interior designer. I've known her for a year and a half, 2 years. I've seen a few examples of her work, and it's fantastic. So, talk to me. How does a basic interior design process work?
Well, I usually start with an introduction meeting with the client, and I review the space and discuss their needs and what they're wanting from the overall project, whether it's just decorating or if it's construction, and what their goals are in the project. And then based on that, then I create design plans based on their budget and the scope of work that is required.
Okay. So on a typical, and I know there's no such word,
Right.
such thing as that, but on a interior design project, what goes into it from your phase, and what goes into it from the customer phase, or is it always different?
Well, it's different, but like, for example, I'm working with a client right now, and I went into they bought a spec home, so they want to furnish the whole house, and I said, we could do it a couple different ways. We can start by doing a couple rooms at the same time. I can do the whole house, or however you want to stage it out, because a lot of times people might not necessarily have the budget to do the entire house. They might have to do like 3 rooms at a time and then go from there. So it really depends on the budget. So this client said, well, let's start with 2 rooms, and then we'll go to the next 2 rooms, and we'll do the next rooms. I'm like, okay. So then I take measurements, I create renderings, floor plans, if there's any built-ins or structural things we need to address, but this is typically just designing. And then I create 2 design plans. A lot of designers don't do that. A lot of designers will just present 1 plan.
Right.
But I like to give the client 2 options, so
Okay.
then they feel like they have more options, quite honestly. And then you can kind of play around with the furniture and the fabrics, and they both kind of intermix. You can intermix them. And then I create a design plan. I spec out all the furniture, all the window treatments, all the rugs, present a floor plan, and then they choose what they want to do. And then once they make a choice, when they sign off on a plan, then I go and quote every piece of that furniture, everything that's in the design plan. So then I can give them say, okay, it's going to be $50,000 or it's going to be $100,000 to do these 2 rooms, and I break it down from like the installer, the fabric, everything that would be involved in making that plan come to fruition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you charge? I know there's different interior designers have different fees. Some of them charge a flat fee based on a certain amount of hours. Some charge an hourly rate. Some charge get a markup from the
product.
From the product
Yeah.
itself. Some pass that through to their clients. How do you work, or what's the typical way it works?
Well, for me, I charge a design fee because I know how many hours it's going to take me to create the plan.
Okay.
So I base that design fee off of, in my own kind of process of like, okay, it's going to take me 40 hours or 60 hours to pull this all together.
Okay.
And then I say, okay, this is the design fee, and then obviously I present, that's within the design plan. Like, they get all the furniture spec'd, everything planned. I present the proposal, and then once I present the proposal, then I charge 30% markup on everything. But I'm getting anywhere between 30 to 50% off the product. So I give them my base price, and then I mark up the product. So they're saving at least 20% most of the time, if not 40% or what have you. So there's always a benefit to them. It's not just
okay. So let's back up. So an average design fee. Give me a range as far as what that will cost
It could be. It really depends on the scope of the job, but I'd say $5,000 to $10,000.
$5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
And then 30% of it's going to cost. They're going to spend $100,000 on furniture. You're going to buy that furniture for, let's say, it costs you $50,000, but their end price is going to be $80,000
Right.
because you're going to mark it up $30,000. My math's not completely
I'm right.
correct,
Yeah. But mind you, if they had tried to go out and buy that at
it
retail,
would have cost them $100,000.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so they'll save a little bit, but that's where that's where you make the money shopping for them. Sourcing.
Right, because ultimately, like, the designer's helping the client not make mistakes.
Right.
So it's like, I do the floor plan, I measure out all the furniture, so I know that everything I'm speccing is going to fit properly in the environment. It's to scale.
Right.
Because a lot of times clients will try to do things on their own, like, oh, I bought this couch. Well, and like, well, it's too big for the space, or it's not big enough, or so it's helping the client not only make a nice aesthetic choice, but making the right choice financially, so they don't make mistakes and then have to get a new piece of furniture, because it doesn't fit, or it's the wrong size, or the wrong fabrication. So that's a big benefit to working with designers. You're less likely.
And do you ever just charge a design fee and let them do the shopping, or is it always part of the package?
Yeah, I've never done that in the past. I mean, I will say, let's say a client says, "Oh, I found this product that you actually spec, but I found it at this price." I'm like, "Okay, go for it." I'm like,
Okay.
"Then buy it." You know, but typically speaking, like if I bring the design to the table, then
Right.
I'm going to mark up on it
Right.
because it's part of the.
And your design is based on your experience of what's in the marketplace too. If you're designing a table, you know where to go ahead and get that table. You're not just
Or I'm designing it
You're
and having it
designing
custom
it, having
made.
it
Yeah, I mean, a lot
okay.
of times like right now I've done a lot of, for whatever reason, a lot of custom banquettes. And so I will install the banquette and then I'll do a custom table to, you know, based on the configuration of the space. I do a lot of custom couches, a lot of custom cabinetry. I mean, it just depends. So a lot of times it's custom. It's not something that they could necessarily go out to the retail environment and buy.
Right.
It just depends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a huge difference in the question that I'm going to ask you, but you've got like Al's Discount Furniture on Lancashire, and then you've got Minotti in.
Yeah,
in-
that's
so-
a big
I know,
range.
it's a huge range. but,
Okay.
but
Right.
as far as you designing a couch, what's the price difference? Even, you know, you're going to a manufacturer, so you're getting a good price on it, but what's the difference between, let's say, a good quality couch, not at a Minotti, and not at an Al's?
Okay,
a
well,
middle of the
right.
road, you know.
Well, I'm
kind
doing
of-
that right now for a client. So basically, I have someone who makes my couches, and I'm like, okay, if we do a trillium-filled couch, which is basically a synthetic fiber, which a lot of the couches on the market are trillium-filled, but the average retail, you know, the average client doesn't know that. So that's where you're going to be able to spend, you know, maybe $2,500 to $3,500 on a couch. It's a trillium-filled couch. I'm like, but if you want it 50-50 down wrapped, you're going to be spending $5,600 to $7,500 on the couch.
Okay.
So I tell them, like, these are the differences. And I'm like, for this one client, I'm like, go to the store and go to the store and go to the store and sit in these couches because you can't sit in mine
Right.
because it's custom made.
Right.
But so you can see the difference.
Okay.
And I'll say, you know, it really depends on their budget. And it also depends, like, if it's in a family room where kids are going to be, you know, I have a lot of clients that have kids. I'm going to say, you know, go with the trillium.
Right.
Because it's like you're going to have kids and food and, you know, do you really want to invest in that? And maybe they do, but I just say, you know, then maybe put that couch in the formal living room.
Right.
So, but yeah, absolutely.
So if it's a medium range couch, let's say, what's the
Yeah.
price difference between that and this custom design couch that you're going to do with, let's say, a medium like that Trillium product?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, a trillium will be probably around 2,500, 2,700, and a down wrapped is like 5,000. That's
Okay.
my price.
Okay.
So, and if you were to buy that at retail, you could add at least a couple $1,000s.
Okay. So custom designing is not that much more expensive than going to a store bought and
No.
buy. That's interesting.
No,
I
it's
think most people are scared of designers because they think it's going to cost them more.
No, I mean, it depends on the product, but you're getting exactly what you want in the fabrication that you want in the fill that you want. So, and again, like I have a lot of clients that have kids, so I'll be like, okay, let's get this fabric because it's stain resistant.
Right.
It has like, you know, it can take a beating. A lot of times if you go to a retail environment, like, well, here, just put, you know, here's a twill and whatever. Most people aren't that knowledgeable on fabrics. So we can, you know, I can spend $500 on the fabric and then, you know, keep the price down on the couch, and it's still less than if they went to like, you know, Crate and Barrel or something.
Right.
I mean, I will say, like, the mass retailers can offer slightly less because they're doing mass
Sure,
product.
of course.
And a lot of times that product is not coming out of the U.S. Like, it's
Right.
coming out of Asia. So there's a lot of different variables and,
Okay.
you know, where the product's coming from and the cost associated with it.
I know you do some really large installs, and I know you do some just small little tune-ups on homes.
Right.
What would be the easiest, like the biggest, like if you were just had a friend that just wanted to kind of do their own little tune-up on their house?
Right.
What do you think is the easiest quick fix on a house? If somebody were just looking at a house, maybe they just wanted to make it more comfortable to live in, or maybe they just wanted to, you know, get it ready for sale. What is there one common thread that you see, or are there a couple common threads?
Well, I mean, painting is the biggest thing you can do to a space to, like, give it some freshness, dimension, because a lot of times people are scared of paint and then they
Right.
just do white.
Right.
And they're like, no, let's kind of layer it. It's like you need that layer to give
Right.
it, like, some warmth. And then, I mean, and that just doesn't apply to the walls. That applies to, you know, cabinetry. A lot of times, spec homes.
Sorry,
It's
I
okay.
forgot to turn off my
I
phone.
see. I even turned my phone off.
I know.
But that's another thing people don't think, you know, when you have, a lot of times people do all white trim. They're all white. I'm like, you know, just by painting cabinetry a different color, changing out the knobs, which is not that expensive,
Right.
it transforms the whole space. And another kind of more of a trend right now is painting trim. Like, a lot of times people just go to the safe, which is white.
Right.
But a definite trend right now is painting trim black or a color. You know, you're seeing that more and more in different environments. So
Right.
paint, I think, is the easiest way to make
Okay.
a big impact.
Okay.
Light fixtures, knobs, that's easy switch out because the electrical's already there. That's an easy, cost-effective way to add a punch and just some accessories.
Okay. And to end this, what would you like? What would your advice from a pro be as far as why should somebody use a professional interior designer versus a friend who,
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
has good taste?
right? Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you're hiring someone who does this for a living, and it's down to the specifications. So it's like when you hire a designer, they know that everything they're presenting is going to fit properly in your space, and that you're not going to make mistakes. And I always say to clients, even if clients can't purchase everything in the design plan, we have to do it in stages. I'm like, but at least this is the plan. So like when you're ready to purchase, this is what you could, but you're not like randomly purchasing things and trying to throw it all together.
Right.
So that's why I always say, let's get the design plan first. Let's like take that, and then you can work off of it if you can't buy everything at the same time.
Okay.
So you don't make financial mistakes. Really, what it comes down to, you really do save money. I mean, you might have to pay in the upfront, but then you're not constantly making mistakes and then having to redo those mistakes. So I think that's definitely the biggest advantage.
Great. You want to add anything else?
No, that's it. I don't know. Thanks for having me.
You did awesome. Thank you for coming. I'm Matt Epstein. You can reach me at 818-789-7408 or visit my website to see this blog at mattepstein.com. And how do we get a hold of you?
And my website is Bennett Lerner Interiors, and my house page is also Bennett Lerner Interiors. So you're able to get in touch with me that way if you'd like.
Great house page, by the way.
Thank you.
That's Houzz. For those of you who don't visit it, she's got a great page.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great seeing you.
Great seeing you.